Are you ready to unlock the key to more flavorful sauces? I'm Katie Rosenhaus from Chowhound, and today we're going to talk about deglazing your pan and how to keep you from doing it all wrong. So whenever you cook a piece of protein in a pan, you'll notice that little brown bits start to form at the bottom. That's called fond. Those are really flavorful, concentrated bits of protein and fat and sugar that occur when the Maillard reaction happens during the cooking process. So the worst thing we can do is just get rid of those bits when we're done cooking our meat. What you want to do is reincorporate them into your dish, ideally through a really delicious pan sauce. So today we're going to cook some chicken thighs. We're going to take all of those little brown bits. We'll talk about tips and tricks along the way and make a really delicious dish. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my chicken ready. So I've got 3 chicken thighs here. This is a small amount of meat. And whenever we're cooking the chicken thighs, we want to make sure that they're really flavorful. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add some seasonings to the mix. I've got a little bit of olive oil, just to kind of juice them up a little bit. I've got some salt, some garlic powder. I like a lot of garlic. Some Italian seasoning, a little black pepper. And we're just going to give that a toss, just to combine. And while we do that, we're going to talk about what pan we should be using whenever we're cooking our meat and we want to deglaze the pan. So I'm just going to bring my burner back here. So whenever we're deglazing our pan, we want to start with something that's stainless steel. Now, I've got a pan that's got a nice high rim to it. It's going to really let me cook my sauce nice and evenly. Now, whenever you're going to deglaze your pan and you want those really delicious brown bits at the bottom, the one thing you don't want to use is use a nonstick pan. It's just not going to let those bits really adhere properly, and you're not going to get as complex a flavor when you finish cooking. So my stainless steel pan is ready to go. It's got nice high sides, so I'm going to be able to cook my mushroom sauce in it that we're going to be doing today. And I'm just going to heat it up on medium-high heat with a little bit of oil. And if you're afraid of cooking with stainless steel versus nonstick, just keep in mind that as long as you get your pan nice and hot before you add your protein in, you should have no issue with it sticking at all. The meat is going to release from the pan when it's ready to flip. All right, so you know your pan is ready when your oil is starting to shimmer just a little bit. You can see I'm nice and hot and ready to go. And I'm going to get my chicken thighs in. Now I can fit about 3 chicken thighs in this pan. You don't want to overcrowd it. I want to give them room. And I'm just going to give this time. I don't want to go ahead and keep turning this over. I don't want to touch this chicken. When it's ready, when it's deeply caramelized on the bottom, it's going to release from the pan and be ready to go. So I'm going to give this about 4 or 5 minutes on the first time. All right, so it's been about 4 or 5 minutes, so we should be pretty good to flip. I'm going to give them a little bit of a peek. We're looking pretty good. Let's just turn them over. Beautiful thighs. Beautiful. All right, and so we're looking to really kind of cook these basically all the way through. We are going to simmer them at the end in our sauce just for a little bit, but essentially we want to bring this to about 160 or 165 so that the carryover heat is going to keep cooking a little and we'll be good to go. And you'll notice as it cooks, you can already see all those little brown bits forming at the bottom. Now we don't want those to be black, right? We're not looking to burn anything. We're not looking to cook this to the point of like total burnt bits, but we do want all that flavor. And as this meat cooks and caramelizes and the sugars and the fats and the proteins kind of start to stick to the bottom of the pan, that's where all of that delicious flavor is going to come from. It's just going to take something that's simple, like a simple pan sauce, and just really elevate it to the next level. All right, so we're looking pretty good on our chicken. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. I'm going to turn off the heat just for a second, just to kind of give you a look at what we're working with here at the bottom of the pan. And I'm just going to transfer these to a plate. All right, so take a look at this pan. So we've got all these delicious brown bits here, right? This is all the good stuff. This is everything you want in terms of flavor. It's going to be so delicious. And you see, we also have a little bit of fat left in the pan. You see that? So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some aromatics. So at this point, if I wanted to deglaze, if I wanted to get all of those brown bits off the bottom, I could just add a liquid to it, whether that be wine, beer, stock, broth, even water. I don't know why you would add water. It's flavorless, but any liquid will work. It's going to help bring up all of those brown bits off the bottom as it simmers. It's just going to release them from the bottom of the pan, which also happens to just clean your pan for you. So it's really just a great process for a lot of reasons. But first, before I do that, I do want to add some aromatics in the way of, I've got shallots, I've got garlic. I'm going to add mushrooms to the pan and make a really nice mushroom sauce. So this is sort of where we're going to like pause, keep the brown bits where they are for a little bit, and just add some more flavor to my sauce. So I'm going to turn my heat back on to medium. I'm going to add a little knob of butter, just to kind of add some extra richness, because why not? The amount of butter is up to you. But I feel like butter is just always a good idea. And I'm going to get in some shallots, some minced shallots here. I'm going to give those a little bit of a stir. And you'll find that those shallots are going to soak up some of that excess fat. Of course, we added more in the way of butter, but that's really just our flavorful fat that we're adding. But they are going to soften up just a bit. And we're only going to cook that for about a minute or so because we are going to get our mushrooms in. And as our mushrooms cook, those shallots are going to continue cooking through. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tip in my mushrooms. I've just got some sliced, these are baby bellas, but you can use white mushrooms, any type that you prefer. I'm going to get those in the pan. And you can see I sort of overcrowded my pan a little bit here. I got a little generous on the mushrooms. You really want to give your mushrooms room to brown evenly. You don't want to really stack them on top of each other too much. But as we go, you're going to notice that the brown bits are going to continue to brown a little bit more. The liquid in the mushrooms gets released and sort of stops that cooking process a little bit. It might even help me scrape some of those up. And what you really want to grab now is a wooden spoon, because what we're going to do is as this cooks and as we add our liquid later on, we're going to scrape up all of those good brown bits, that bond that's at the bottom of the pan, and just reincorporate that into our sauce. It's going to be super delicious. So you can see this is going to cook down maybe about 5 minutes or so. We're going to get some color on our mushrooms. It's going to be good to go. It smells so good already. The butter, the mushrooms, the shallots, it's all good. You can see some of those bits with that liquid in my mushrooms. You can see it's sort of coming up a little bit already. Those mushrooms are starting to reduce down. This is just going to be packed with umami flavor, lots of savory notes, just a really delicious dish with very little effort, all in one pan, which is great. So as my mushrooms get toward the end of cooking, I'm just going to season them up a little bit, and then we're going to get in some garlic toward the end. That's going to cook for about a minute. And then we're going to deglaze our pan with some white wine. So first, I just want to salt them just a little bit, not too crazy. I've got a little bit of black pepper and my garlic going in. This is just minced garlic. You can also use grated garlic. I'm just going to add that in. We'll give that about 30 seconds to a minute, and then we're going to keep our heat on a medium-high, and we're going to add in our white wine. And whoosh, all those brown bits are going to come up from the bottom. Now again, when you're deglazing, the type of liquid can totally vary based on what the dish is, what you're interested in, what complements the flavors that are already in the dish. I'm using white wine. It could be something like red wine. You could go straight to broth. The beauty of wine is that it's got a touch of acidity that's just going to balance and kind of brighten the dish and give us a little bit of extra complexity and depth. So I love adding wine first. I am going to add a little bit of broth later on just to really create our sauce. But wine is going to do a really good job of just making the most flavorful sauce. I'm going to go ahead and get this in. I'm going to tip in a little bit of wine. And you can see, I'm just going to lower the heat a bit so you can see it happen. All of those bits are coming right off the bottom of the pan, and I'm really scraping. You don't want to just let this sit. You don't want to just let it do its own job. You really want to get in there with your spoon, and you want to scrape up all of those bits. Remember, you're cleaning your pan now, so you don't have to clean it later, but also you want every bit of that concentrated flavor going back into your dish. So you can see I'm pretty clean here at the bottom of my pan, right? I got all those bits. It's looking really good. And you can see that wine really reduced down. Now, I don't have much liquid left in the pan, so this is where I'm going to go ahead and add my broth. I've got chicken broth here, just to kind of moisten it up a little bit. We are going to let that reduce down. Now, if you don't reduce your liquid, you're sort of just missing out on flavor. Also, we want the texture of our sauce to be right? We don't want a loose sauce. We want something that's really going to coat our chicken nicely. I am going to add a touch of cream to this later. That's going to give us some additional richness, as well as some Parmesan cheese. But I do want to make sure that my sauce is at a nice sort of thicker consistency by the time it's done. So you do want to take the time to really let this simmer and reduce and really concentrate those flavors and give you the consistency that you're looking for. All right, so as that simmers, I'm going to go ahead and add my cream. I'm not a big fan of adding a ton of cream. I like just a touch of cream just to kind of add some richness to it. You could add more, and you will see recipes where you're adding a cup of cream into the mix. If I'm serving the whole family, I like to keep it just a little bit on the leaner side, but still get that richness, that velvety mouthfeel that you want for a really good pan sauce. And so I just sort of lob in, to color the way I like it to be, just a little dash. But you could add more if you want to as well. Now, as that simmers away, I am going to add back my chicken. So the sauce is going to thicken and just heat and cook my chicken through as it goes. And all of these juices that are in the pan are going to go back in as well, because we want to get every bit of flavor that we can into this sauce. I'm just giving the pan a little bit of a shake just to make sure my mushrooms are going nicely in there. I can kind of see the consistency. You could always check it with a spoon as well, just see how loose your sauce is. And again, we really want something that's going to coat our chicken nicely, kind of pool on the plate just a little bit. And we'll let this go and just tighten up a little bit more. All right, so we're looking pretty good. We can see it's reduced down quite a bit. It's now sort of like a nicely thickened sauce. I'm going to add a few more flavorings, and you could also, get really creative with this. A little bit of Dijon mustard, any other seasonings you like. You could add some fresh parsley. I'm adding some thyme, some fresh thyme leaves. I'm also going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese just to kind of add like a a little cheesy touch to this. Never have too much cheese in our house. But I'm just gonna go ahead and sprinkle that in. And you can see, just in one pan, just by deglazing the pan and making a quick pan sauce, we really just elevated this, typical weeknight meal to like the next level, to company-worthy territory. I'm just gonna take the white chicken, take that right up. Ooh, it almost got away from me there. See that really beautiful sauce? You can see how nice that sort of thickened up nicely. Just gonna spoon some of that right over my chicken. Look at those mushrooms, the thyme, more cream in the sauce. Take a little taste of that. So delicious, so complex, just something so simple as deglazing your pan, adding a little bit of wine, a little bit of broth, optional cream, some other seasonings, a delicious pan sauce, a delicious weeknight meal, all in a matter of minutes.